Alright guys, here we go. Super Meat Boy Part 3. So if you remember in Part 2, we just finished the Hospital from Hell. So now it is time to move on to Chapter 3, the Salt Factory. And I'll let you guys enjoy this nice cutscene right here. If anyone knows what game or series that cutscene is referencing, please let me know in the comments, because that's one of the few I actually have not figured out yet. So, this is the Salt Factory, and if you haven't guessed, the main obstacle they introduce here is salt. So much like the broken or used syringes in the hospital, salt covers much of the ground, rendering it untouchable. Now, this is a serious problem because salt also pours down from the walls, as you can see here. So, the Salt World is actually, for me, one of the more difficult worlds in the game, as you can notice there by my second death in, almost as many seconds. Yeah, but it's also one of the ones where the first levels, again, at least to me, seem a lot harder than the levels that come near the end of the chapter. I really find, like, 1 through 4 quite difficult, including this one. Another obstacle they introduce here is conveyor belts, but I'll get to that later. But yeah, and then 10 through 20, really not a problem at all. So yeah, the conveyor belts here are a real problem. They change orientation, or change the direction of their thrust. That's what she said. As you get closer to the obstacles, so you really have to stay on your toes at all times. Otherwise, you're gonna get a nice salty death. Contrary to everything you've ever learned in your entire life, meat plus salt actually equals death, not deliciousness. Maybe it's a nice little parable for the prevalence of heart disease in modern North America. So yeah, these conveyor belts plus saws are probably my least favorite obstacle thus far in the game, but it does get a little bit more hellish as we move on to chapters 4 through 6. Alright, so another game mechanic they introduce is the conveyor belts that shoot you up. These are actually quite fun, and not really that difficult, at least not until you get to the Dark World of Chapter 3. But the levels with this tend to be pretty good. The one exception being this one, which is just straight out of hell. I think I actually have practiced it enough, yeah, so I can do okay on it, but that last switch at the end is usually what derails my Let's Plays here. But we'll make up for it with a death right there. Yeah. Of course, as I say these conveyor belts are easy, I get the Let's Play curse and start just throwing myself off the edge. But for the most part, these levels are starting to ease up a little bit compared to the first two levels, which I find uncharacteristically difficult, let's say. Alright, and of course they bring back the homing missiles, and that's a motif that will continue. One thing they really love doing in this level, or in this world I should say, is using homing missiles combined with these disappearing blocks. So if you're standing there waiting for them to dissolve, most of the time you're going to get hit. You've got to stay moving at all costs. But again, like I said, these levels don't seem too bad, to me at least. And let's hope I didn't jinx myself by saying that. Once you figure out the movement on these puzzles, it looks pretty impressive, but it's actually not that difficult. This is another level that looks a lot harder than it actually is. Those saws chasing you will almost never catch you, unless it's your first couple times playing through the level, I suppose. And this is another one of those worlds where some of the puzzles and some of the jumps can be a little tricky to figure out, but because I've played this so many times, and actually played it many times in practicing for recording it for this Let's Play, I've mastered it to some extent. I wouldn't say I've mastered, that was probably the wrong choice of words, but I've become quite adept at it, let's say. The next chapter is a different story. That's going to require either a lot of practice or a lot of editing. I hope I can do it in one go, but we'll see. So one of the things that I posted yesterday was a video showing off the fact that I got Alien Hominid in the game. And I asked you guys to comment as to whether or not you wanted to see me do the whole playthrough with Meat Boy, or if you wanted to see me mix up the characters as I went along. Still waiting for more comments on that, but it seems like the general consensus is mix up the characters. So starting in my next video, I'm going to start using some of the unlockable characters. I think the next one that I'm about to unlock is Tim from Braid, who I believe can rewind time for 3 seconds or so. So I'm actually really looking forward to him. Braid was one of my favorite games from the last few years, and looking forward to using him as we get further along in this Let's Play. Alien Hominid, you know, honestly, don't really like him that much, but he's okay. This level, in Salt Factory terms, is my personal Everest. It's a serious pain in the ass. The general gist of it is you've got to get up here, get the key, fall back down, get that key, and then go back up and get Bandage Girl. And all of these blocks that you used to go up are disappearing. So, I'm not generally demonstrating it well here. My MO for this anyway is to jump up on one side, get the key, fall down through the middle without touching any blocks, because that could be your death basically, and then come back up on the other side. And, you know, lo and behold, it actually worked that time. The Grundle. Not really sure what Grundle is. Somebody told me a couple of years ago that it was actually the space between your testicles and your butthole. So don't quote me on that, and I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Talk to the game designers. And this is what I mean when I said the game had kind of a fetish on this level for puzzles where you have homing missiles and blocks that dissolve underneath you. I'm probably gonna botch this. Yeah, I figured I was gonna mess that one up somehow. And that one, but you know, third time's a charm. Luckily when you die, not really that frustrating because you respawn so quickly. The trick here, do not go down the left side on that first set of blocks, because, you know, lo and behold, the top homing missile can actually sneak one through there, even all the way to the bottom sometimes. And there's nothing more frustrating than the thing you just beat in the level, to have a missile you couldn't even see come and just kill you. This is the last level, apart from the boss level on this world. Not actually that difficult, you just gotta stand here and kind of direct these missiles away and then jump in for Bandage Girl. There's a bandage on that world that's actually pretty tough to get, but I digress. Alright, let's do Brownie. Enjoy the cutscene. Alright, so not unlike the boss levels before, this one is a race. And although it appears that you're racing against, presumably I guess his name is Brownie, what you're actually racing against is salt. Dr. Fetus has opened the floodgates to all the salt that's going to come out. So you need to get to the end before you are turned into a delicious piece of cured beef, I guess. Is that what Meat Boy is? You think he's beef? Maybe a conglomerate of meats? Anyway. This boss fight has fantastic music. I really can't overstate that. A couple Meat Boy songs are coming out for Rock Band. I hope this is one of them. Anyway, not too bad. Enjoy the cutscene again. So that is the Salt Factory in a nutshell. We're now about, well, I guess we're technically 60% of the way through the story mode, at least to the best of my knowledge, but about halfway through the levels, and I also want to cover the DLC, also known as Internets, which you unlock when you get 20 bandages. Some really, really hellish levels there. So, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next part, which is Chapter 4, Hell. Alright, take it easy guys, see you next time.